right, we're back with week 5.
Yes, we are cruising along and it's week 5.
Which I can't believe. Before we started rolling, I literally asked you, is this 4 or 5? I kind of lost track, but sure enough, it's 5.
I know. It's just going by so fast,
Yeah.
but I guess time is going by quickly.
That's true. It
More
does.
quickly, right?
Like it or not, good or bad, it's moving forward with or without you.
Right.
So thank you to everybody who's been there from the beginning of this podcast. And if you're joining after the first video or first audio, it's kind of a video with audio. So it's a podcast, but it's in video form because it's hosted here on YouTube. But thank you to everybody who's been a part of it. And if you haven't checked them all out, go check them all out. So that'll be fun. This is the Unnamed Record-ology Podcast. And usually you're coming up with topics. Today, I'm taking a stab at it. Hopefully.
Right. We'll see how you do. No pressure,
we'll see.
right?
A little pressure here. A little pressure. So I want to start talking about something that I think we can all agree on. There's a commonality here that if you're listening to this, you and I you can certainly agree upon, and that is that we have a foundation on something that goes beyond equipment, genre, artist, etc., era, doesn't matter, age, doesn't matter. At its heart, we all have a love for music, I would say. Probably. Right. I mean, there may be somebody who's a spoken word only and doesn't actually like music and only listens to comedy albums on their record player. It's possible.
Right. And if that's you, leave a message down below.
Yeah, I really love you. I hate music, but I love, comedy albums.
No,
it's possible.
It's fascinating, right?
It is.
Everybody has their thing.
Which is fine, and that's totally cool. So what I want to just talk about was our foundations in music and loving music and why we love music. And it's going to be kind of a large scope for a 15-minute chat. But let's start kind of at the beginning for you. And as a baseline, I think I know the answer to this, but how important is music to you?
Well, I grew up with so many different genres of music. And I think that is what made it so important in my life. And as a very little child, I used to hum songs. This is before I could even talk. And I think
really?
that,
I didn't know that.
yeah.
You recognize the music before spoken word?
Yeah, my great-grandfather used to, hum melodies to me, and I would hum them back.
That's awesome. That's really
even
cool.
before I could speak. And I think that it's just always inherently been inside of me intrinsically. So I just think that, it's a part of me. I love music.
That's so cool. So you would say your house was very musical then?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Lots and lots of music.
And what
Everything
context?
from my grandfather playing Chet Atkins, growing up in a dance studio setting.
There's always something playing.
Yeah. And then, being in the theater from a very young age, doing stage acting.
Specifically musical.
Yeah, musical stage acting. And that always, it was just always around. There was always some kind of music being played or being danced to or
just a part of the air you breathed in your family growing up.
It really was.
So I too grew up in a very different family dynamic, but one commonality was the absolute necessity of music. I remember my parents had one of those old Radio Shack clarinet all-in-one systems with a record player, cassette, and radio, and it was always on. My mom always had music playing, usually contemporary Christian music, which is in the background of and literally she still does this. She just has music playing as a wallpaper to life. It's always on low in the background. But beyond that, as you know, my parents were very musically talented and still are. Both were guitar players, are guitar players. My mom is a 12-string guitar player, which is very difficult. She was very proficient in that. My dad, guitar player as well. Both of them were singers. And they actually went to Nashville and, did some work there for a period of time. And after that, they came back to Denver and had me. I'm the consolation prize. But music was just all around us. And I have memories of being a young child and just laying on the floor. And my dad still had the guitar amps and all the speakers set up and the microphones. It was always like a recording studio. And just sitting there as they sang country a lot of folk music and whatever else. And that was really special. So I would sit there with my Legos on the floor and just spend a Saturday playing Legos and listening to mom and dad sing.
That's really cool.
Yeah. And it was just an intrinsic part of our life. It always was. And I remember just loving music at a very early age.
Yeah.
So obviously we want to hear your guys' story, your origin story of music.
Yes. Let us know how you guys became so in love with music and that it became such a part of your world, that you know, also curious why you gravitate to this type of media as well, like records, and
how does that relate to how you want to listen to it?
How does that relate? And I know that as a young child, I was kind of introduced to music through records. And
that's a good question. That's a good segue. Yeah.
So
I like that.
Curious as to how that is a part of your story.
And for me, answering that, it was tapes, a lot of cassette tapes. We did have record albums. I don't remember mom and dad using those in the context of their recording that much, or if they're practicing. I don't know how much they actually recorded. I think it was probably mostly the cassette when they were doing that. Mostly I got the feeling they were just playing to play. Like they were playing to make the music was the goal, to spend time doing that.
Which is that's amazing.
It was
Same
incredible.
thing with my great-grandfather. Just remember that was kind of his way to kind of decompress from the day. Yeah. He'd come in from a very long day of working. He was a master plumber, and he put in plumbing in some of Denver's most largest buildings.
Yeah, some famous installations.
And he would be, he was a very calm spirit and a very kind person. And but that was his outlet, was to play beautiful, beautiful music on both the acoustic guitar and the banjo.
Any string instrument,
really, right? Any string instrument. He was so talented. And so I remember late in the evenings falling asleep to the sounds of Chet Atkins songs.
That is so
and other
cool.
things. He really, really admired Chet Atkins. And
I wish I could have heard him play in person.
It was beautiful, beautiful music.
And I love Chet Atkins too, so I can imagine. That's incredible. So do you think that the formats that we like now have anything to do with the formats we grew up with? And I would say, in your case, probably not, because you're not going around trying to listen on tape or that much music on vinyl, as much as just having music available. If I'm playing it on a record, you want to listen. If it's on the radio, you want to listen. Format really isn't as important.
Yeah, for me, it really isn't. I enjoy all of it. I enjoy, the crackle and pop of records. I love the warmth of the sound. With cassettes, it's kind of funny because we were always trying to reduce the hiss. Yeah, and now it's kind of a nostalgic there's kind of comfort to that hiss.
Absolutely. I always say I don't even turn on the Dolby because I don't mind a little hiss. It's like whatever. It's part of it. I don't need it to be. If I wanted purity, like without any artifacts, then I just listen to streaming only.
It's so funny because I remember going into a recording studio probably when I was I was probably about 11 or 12 years old. And this gentleman that I worked with, he could hear so many things that not the average person could hear. Mm-hmm. And he said to me, "You don't want to have hiss in the back of your soundtrack. We're trying to get rid of that." And this was when we were trying to go from cassette background tracks to CD soundtracks. And it's just interesting to me that now we actually enjoy hearing that.
We enjoy it. Isn't it interesting? It really, really is interesting. So I've kind of scratched the surface of this a little bit, but I want to invite you to share, whatever you want to share in terms of some of the experience you've had over the years. Because to you listening, Mrs. Record-ology is incredible talent and has done so many cool things. Everything from a lot of professional performance work to a lot of behind the scenes. She's an award-winning filmmaker and
you are too kind.
Recording person and a producer, and has done so many cool things. So
what are some of the man. Thank you.
My fan. All of my fans. No, you've done it all. So talk about a little bit of
my fan club.
I'm always the first one in line anyway. But what are some of the types of things that you've done? I mean, if you remember in those 80s commercials with toy commercials and the kids playing with the toys, you were one of those kids, right?
Yeah. We did a lot of commercials when I was younger, growing up. And then we did a lot of live performance for lots and lots of stage and Colorado type fairs. And then on the stage in pretty much every theater at that time was on the stage at some point.
Every place we went to, whether it was Betcher Concert Hall or any auditorium or any theater.
Yeah. And then
she was like, I performed here, I did a show here, or I was part of a repertoire thing or whatever.
Right.
Everywhere. It's bizarre.
Then also, I was going to say, then growing up, after all of that, then in my teenage years, I kind of found my way back to the stage after taking a bit of a hiatus. Ended up with the Denver Opera Company, and that was amazing under the direction of Nicholas Lorienti, who really, really taught me so much. And I just have such a admiration for every type of music and every genre, because it takes so much to create that kind of art. And so it's just always amazing to be, having the education from someone who is a master in their art like that.
I think it's amazing to be in the presence of anybody who's a master of their craft, whatever that may be.
Right. Absolutely. And there's always something to learn and something to glean from, every single person out there. Right. But then if they're an absolute master, it just takes that up a whole nother level to, so I just have so much appreciation for, and so much gratitude for all of the opportunities that I've been given through the years.
That's awesome. So we're running out of time, and we're going to go a little over, which is okay. It's our show; we can do whatever we want. But I don't want to. Maybe try to wrap it into 30 to 60 seconds, talking about music, and specifically as a consumer of music you listen to, music you bought as a teenager, and like how you were consuming that music. Okay,
well, as a teenager, I basically bought a whole lot of Broadway tracks.
On tapes?
And
CDs?
mostly on tapes. And I think that was primarily because that's the kind of thing that I had to listen to in the car with.
So you were practicing.
Yeah, a lot of practicing for shows and listening to scores and, understanding characters and things like that.
That's cool. That's really, really cool. And then I remember when we were dating, we were both on CDs at that point. And remember, I was giving you copies of all my favorite albums that I had.
Yeah.
And then eventually you're like, wait, if we get married, we're going to have doubles of everything.
Right.
And we still have doubles of a lot of stuff because of that, which is kind of funny.
Yeah.
You're like, wait a minute, we don't need 2 copies. Ultimately, we're not going to need 2 copies. Well, for me, and I've talked about this ad nauseum, so I'm not going to go into too much detail. But as a kid, I just liked music, period. I liked sound. I still do. I'm a very noisy person. I talk a lot. But as a teenager, I remember my first hand-me-down sound systems. I remember recording music off the radio onto tape. I remember getting cassettes and how big of a deal that was. We didn't have infinite money, so we were, grateful to get an album here. And I had less than 10. I could tell you exactly what they were. But, and then eventually, as I music at some point becomes your own. For you as a performer, it probably took on a different dynamic because the music that you owned, in the sense of ownership of it, and it, being meaningful to you, was the stuff you were performing. For me, it was the stuff I was consuming. So I eventually, I went through a phase of listening to a lot of metal and hardcore rap and stuff. And then I've said this before, so I won't go into a lot of detail. I kind of totally threw that to the side for the time being in my life and embraced music that I felt was the happiest, most positive music, which is like big band show tunes, soundtracks to vintage movies and stuff, and I still love that. And for a long time, that's all I consumed. So I was collecting CDs and listening to it everywhere. And I was able to invest in higher end stereo systems. Really enjoying listening on higher end equipment. And then over recent years, I've embraced, as you know, all sorts of genres of music. Now, How about you today? Like, what are you listening to today? Again, briefly, but what is
really just everything?
Anything. Could be
everything. Yeah, everything from Broadway songs to Lady Gaga.
Yeah.
Just really everything. AJR. I love AJR.
Mm-hmm.
I love some of Madonna's stuff. I love
just a little bit of everything.
Elvis and Beatles.
I feel like you and I both like a little of every genre.
Exactly.
I don't think there's anything we really don't listen to at least somewhat of.
Right.
Yeah.
I think maybe Screamo.
I don't really death metal probably doesn't get a lot of airplay around our place, but that's maybe it'll change.
If that's
who knows, right? So cool. All right. Well, we went over like I knew we would, and to you, the listener, thank you for being there. Interactive experience is what we're shooting for here. So let us know in the comments everything that you would like to add and share with us in terms of your music origin story.
Yeah. Were you more of a performer, or did you have more of a consumer type experience?
Yeah. And also, yeah, absolutely. And also let us know any show ideas you have, things you want us to talk about. I do want to segue briefly into the fact that Always Rain, aka Mrs. Record-ology, and I put together a song which is available everywhere music is sold and streaming online, and it's called Let's Misbehave. Yes, I always get confused and want to say Ain't Misbehaving. It's not Ain't Misbehaving, it's Let's Misbehave. Yes. And Let's Misbehave. I had a little bit part in it. It was fun, but she's obviously produced a lot of super professional stuff, and she's got a lot more coming. It's really cool to see this renaissance of you releasing music again. I'm excited to see what's going to come, but
yeah,
it'll be fun. Anyway,
thank you.
That is going to do it. And as always, thanks for being there, and we'll see you next time.
Yep, we'll see you next time.